do the shipment for next week.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
you're still at the shop?
I'm like when I have a couple free hours here and there, I'll shoot on down and I'll like I cleaned out the back room last week. I just like cleaned everything up and got everything organized.
Oh, that's cool. So
Yeah, and then
it's cool to still be involved.
yeah, I mean like we were friends long before I started working there.
Oh,
So like
gotcha.
yeah, it's funny because there was a shop in like it was never in the town that I grew up in, but it was like I'm sure they probably have them over there, like where you're at. It's like a little conglomerate of like a bunch of smaller towns, and then there's like kind of a bit of a larger city that like around that they kind of surround.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that's how
It's
it is
kind of
up
like where
here.
I live actually. It's kind
So
of something like
like
that.
I'm from one of those really small towns. Like dude, my graduating class was like 200 people. Like it was small.
For high school?
Yeah.
Damn.
And so like we would just shoot on over to like the next town over where the shop was always at, and it was always like on the main street. And that's the shop I went to like forever growing up and stuff. And then, like I mean, not to mention like my library had a bunch of comics and stuff, and like a couple drugstores around town would have comics like on news like newsstand stuff that would like just never sold for like a 10 plus years because comics, like most people just whatever.
Yeah.
But then like it was like 2016 and like my local theater, there was I think it might have been when was it? What came out? Was it Spider-Man? Came out in 2016?
Like Homecoming?
Yeah, that was Homecoming, right?
I think that was 17 because I'm pretty sure Civil War came out in 16.
I okay, then it was Civil War. I can't remember if it was Civil War or if it was Homecoming. But they did like a pop-up. They had like some deal with the local theater and they would do like a pop-up and it was like they set up a few tables and they just did like comics, like single issue and like short boxes, trades, figures, other stuff. And so like I had got tickets to Civil War that weekend and they were there and then like I bought some stuff and then he gave me a business card and then I was just going in there ever since. So like that's when we met and then I didn't start working there until 23. So I mean we had known each other for 6 7 years at that point before I started working for him.
Damn. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and now he misses me, so he just wants me to hang out.
Dude, I miss my shop. I'm so bummed like that my shop closed. Like I used to go to a mall for my comics and like
Yeah,
that toy vault. I don't know if you have those over near you, but like
yeah, we have stuff like that.
they had a guy that would handle like the pull list stuff and he was
Hmm.
great and he always like kind of knew what I wanted. Like,
Or like if it was like cover artists or characters that you liked, he'd like slip stuff in there.
yeah, like he'd,
Yeah.
he'd put stuff in there and it was like, well, he knew I was gonna want it, so like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
But like then he left, he got a different job and immediately like the quality was so bad.
I hate that
Like
shit.
I would have like stuff that I didn't even pull in there, like they would
Uh-huh.
fuck it up and it was just like, oh, like it kind of like bummed me out and it
Hmm.
was kind of around the time where I started to have a lot more stuff on my list. Like I was reading Flash, Green Lantern, like Hickman had just done House and Powers, and it was like
Oh shoot,
I
yeah.
couldn't really afford to like miss out on some stuff, but I was already kind of just
Yeah,
like, damn it, I'm reading too much stuff. COVID happened. I kind of that was like my first taste into being like, all right, I'm just gonna read digital stuff now.
yeah,
But then like there was like couple times where I'm like, oh man, like I just want like honestly, when there were no comics coming out during COVID, that was actually kind of nice because it got me to like back to just be like, I'm not missing out on anything. I'll just read runs, you know?
yeah. Did you so I feel like I had a bit of the opposite happen like during COVID when no new comics were coming out because my shop, like granted there were still like a handful of publishers that were putting out like physical stuff, but they were all
Yeah.
small indie stuff. So it was never like DC or Marvel or like Boom or I mean there may have been a couple Boom books and then like maybe an Image book or two, but nothing like popular or like consistently coming out monthly. But my shop was doing like curbside pickup,
Oh yeah, yeah. The
and he
shop
had
I went to eventually did that. Yeah.
he like the entire way through, like the entire like lockdown, I was there like every week. Like any money that would have been spent on like my weekly pools, I was just buying stuff off the back wall. So
Oh
like
really?
that's like what carried me through the COVID lull was like I never really made that. Maybe it was because I was buying stuff every single week and I was still holding comics every single week
Yeah.
because like and it kept me from like really and then I started to read. Obviously I had to read digital because there was no new stuff coming out. So it ended up being like maybe that's what it was because I really felt like I could let go of a lot of single issue stuff about halfway through. I was like, I don't like I can save space. I'm okay kind of reading digitally. I don't really like need to read physical. But then once comics came back, I was already just so used to going every week still. I was like, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
stop.
I do miss um like that Wednesday trip. Like I remember
Yeah.
like I kind of like had my schedule around like, oh, that's when I get comics. Now
Dude,
with digital, it doesn't matter.
every week, dude. If I always plan my Wednesday around like making time to go to the shop.
Yeah.
If I'm able to.
I don't know if you saw, but I think this run is coming to an end, or at least yeah, Spurrier's run. Um, what was it? I'll find it for you. Oh, what is his name? What he wrote? Probably should have had this prepared.
Yeah, because this is
Um,
the first I'm hearing of this.
I saw this and I've actually been waiting till for us to talk so I could show it to you. Um,
What are we
okay.
looking for?
I think Night Terrors. Whoa.
Don't tell me it's Packed in Adele. Don't tell me.
Where? Oh, I'm spelling it wrong, of course. That's why I'm like, why
Oh,
isn't it going up?
that Dark Knight. Oh, because like I'm like, why is it not populating?
Yeah. This is how I knew who it was. So, what, like, yeah, The
No,
Flash Bad
no.
Mood Rising Special #1, but it's written by him.
Do you think he's taking over?
I think so.
Because okay,
I don't
to
think
Len
that Night
Creed,
Terrors issue was bad. I don't think it was terrible. I can't
no,
really remember
no,
it
I'm.
well.
It was literally just it was like a nothing burger. It was just Barry being like kind of tortured,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
The only thing good about the Night Terrors Flash book were those Torrin Clark covers because he terrorized Barry on both of them, and it was great.
Yeah.
Um,
I think the
but
best thing about Night Terrors was the Green Lantern tie-ins, honestly. That was good.
yeah, that was solid. That was good stuff.
But I don't
But
know. I just don't you just kind of find it odd
well, okay,
that he's writing this?
to lend credence to that, he's been doing all of like the one shot Flash related stuff. Like I'm pretty sure he was the one that did the Beast World one shot for Central City. He's doing this. He did Night Terrors Flash. Um and he did something else Flash related, but I cannot remember off the top of my head. I think he might have done the God, what the hell was that series? The Task Force for Absolute Power.
Yeah.
I think he might have done that as well.
But don't you like at least with that stuff, like it was like in a wider DC event, it seemed like he was like, whatever, Spurrier just didn't want to do it. It's fine. Maybe he was just kind of like, nah, I got
And
my thing going
I've
on.
always wondered this because that kind of seems to be like a trend. Like you'll see like a writer that they kind of have on reserve and he'll handle like, oh, here's a character you've done a little bit of work with in the past. Do the next one shot and we'll see how it goes. And we'll just
Yeah.
keep seeing how it goes until, maybe a miniseries or like an anniversary issue, and then you get your story, and then if we like it enough and you've got enough under your belt or whatever at this point, then you get the main book.
But
What's
like
that cover?
oh, this cover is pretty sick.
Well, what's the variant? The one close up of Serge Acuna? That one looks tight.
Doesn't really look like Surge though. It looks different.
Yeah, it doesn't look as shiny. Travis Mercer. I'm
Yeah.
still waiting for that book that he and Jeremy Adams were supposed to do.
What was it, like a Young Justice book or something?
Something like that, yeah, because you had West Twins and you had some of the characters from Golden Age, like sidekicks.
Um,
Yeah, you had Mr. Terrific's son was in there too.
yeah.
Fair play or whatever they're calling him right now.
The only reason I knew about this special though, because I haven't really been looking too closely at solicitations as much as I used to. That with the special announced and this being 4 parts, maybe more, I'm starting to think Spurrier is not staying in the Flash, and if that's the case, it's fucking over. Which,
So fucking over.
dude, it's strange to me because I am enjoying this book. It's a little much at times. But like I just feel like I don't see anyone talking about it. I feel like you and I are the only ones that talk about it. But then like I see like the comments on here
Yeah,
and people like are like, "Oh, this is great." And I'm like, I just feel like the wider community is not saying that. And I feel like and maybe like this site is a bad way to like kind of explain this, but I feel like Flash is very low because I think I have this set like organized from like highest pulled. So obviously Hush, Wonder Woman, Martian
yeah,
Manhunter, Superman. Whenever there's an X-Men book, whenever there's a Batman book, it's the first pulled. Flash used to be in this top right here.
yeah.
And even Green Lantern, like I'm kind of surprised that's been a great book. I just read actually that issue, but
I haven't read this week's Green Lantern yet.
and I don't know about you, but like I feel like you really can tell how much like DC like believes in a book from the variant covers.
No, I mean, hey, that I'm a believer in that. I agree with you to an extent.
Like look at
Um,
this is
yeah.
outrageous, dude. I know you're a big variant guy, but that's
No,
outrageous.
hey, and listen to me. I am a big variance guy, but I think that having a bit of a variety, it it doesn't hurt the market, I don't think, but there is also a problem of like oversaturation with variants. Like people have to know that when they relaunch and do a new number one, half of that is just gonna be them wanting to put out a bunch of variants and make a shit ton of money off of all of us
Yeah.
because they know, and they're gonna pick the best artists, and they're gonna bring the heat because it's a new number one and everybody wants to get their bag, and everybody like kind of wants to put their stamp on it. So, which is I fine, whatever. But I don't think that there needs to be upwards of sometimes 20, 30, 40, 50 variant covers.
I think DC is
Like,
definitely worse than Marvel.
oh, nope, they
But
100% are. They 1,000% are. But
Marvel can be bad, but you notice like when they're deep into a series, like they kind of like back off on the variants a little bit.
yeah, they
Like,
will. No, 100%. Unless, well, but see, Marvel's also been doing this thing where they do variant series,
yeah.
and it's not so much they're just commissioning an artist to do like four different
They want the
artists to do a cover for every single issue. Like they're doing like a series of variants across a certain line, like the Marvel vs. Capcom variants. Those aren't new. Those aren't really new images. They're just
yeah.
taking the images from the game that Bengus did and slapping them on a cover and saying, "Here you go." Just like you're getting like the kind of like the Marvel Encyclopedia kind of the connecting ones.
Hmm.
Same thing. Like those, like some of these are already pre-existing images that people that are now they're just cool ideas that it gives fans a chance to collect that artwork in a new way while also being able to double as buying a comic book. So I think in that regard, variants are fine. But it's it's when you capitalize on the fact that you're not only gonna you're relaunching a series you don't need to. You're overpricing that first issue. It's probably gonna be $5 or $6 now, because it's not ever going to be 3.99 number one ever again.
Right.
And then you're gonna double you're basically gonna just double down and pump out all these variants. And if you're DC, you're pumping out these variants for $1 more for cardstock, or sometimes $2 or $3 more for foil.
Yeah. It's just
So
crazy. It's crazy to
yeah,
me.
I mean it's definitely just it relies on FOMO, and it relies on like just people's the innate nature to just impulsively buy shit because you really don't want to. I don't want to miss out on covers. I know myself, but
Dude,
also
you and
like
I are totally opposite. Like it's got to be a really good cover for me to want it. I'm a main cover guy through and through. I always want main cover. I used to get pissed when I'd like go to my shop and they'd put the variant in there. I'm like, I don't want
don't
the
get me wrong.
variant.
They're like indie books. I'm a main covers guy 100%. But like I just think, well, okay, the other thing too with DC, any variant you buy is just in a fixed cover now. So
Right.
you have the cover A on the inside. So DC, I'm a little more lenient on, I guess, with myself. Like if I miss a cover A and it's on the shelf, or if I forgot to like ask for it and there's a variant available, I'll probably just get the variant and not bitch about it.
Yeah.
Granted, there are some books where I really do want the cover A's, and I'll pick up a variant here and there, or I'll double pull it each month for the variant that I want and then for the main cover. But it's not often I'll do that either.
Yeah.
Variants are a slippery slope, my friend.
Dude, it's just crazy. Like, I don't know, it's just crazy how many variants you'll see on a book. Like I remember it was like every book just had the one variant. It was like you want A cover or B cover, you know?
Dude, don't even get started on like retailer exclusives, on convention exclusives. It's bad, dude. Like I want to say that like the new TMNT, the new number one by Aaron. I think, and I know for a fact that League of Comic Geeks does not reflect it properly. There's probably upwards of 60 variants for that one issue.
Jeez.
And
It's
that's like
just
not an
insane.
exa there's like not that's like not an exaggeration, because there were probably 20 or so convention exclusives last year for it.
Damn.
Absolutely nuts. But
Um,
enough about variants.
enough about variants. Yeah. No, it's funny. Normally we do the rambling after, but dude, did it not feel like this issue like there was an issue we missed in between?
Thank
Did
you.
you
Thank
that's
you,
how I
because
felt.
we
I'm
okay,
like,
and
"Oh
I think,
man."
and the way that it's framed, it kind of makes sense. Like we're supposed to be dropped in the middle of this, like, well, Wally's been fighting this war for how many years now? But to everybody else, it's literally just been a blip of time.
Yeah.
Um, I don't hate this issue.
I don't either. I
There are bits that I like a
liked it.
lot.
I thought it was really cool because I loved how there was just so many like variants of him, and I like how it was like I don't know. I'm like a sucker for the Clone Wars, Star Wars shirt on,
Mhm.
and I kind of was like, oh, this is kind of neat because like they're kind of
Kind of has
like
that vibes to it.
indisposable. Yeah, and
Yeah.
like there's a little
Okay. I
personality kind of something in there.
I didn't think Clone Wars at first, but I the 100% that the 100% is like almost like a 1-to-1 with some of these. Um,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like the one thing I did think about in that, so in Doctor Strange, the Jed McKay run that just finished, there's an arc where they talk about it's the War of the Seven Spheres. So it's like it was alluded to for a long time, and you got little references and like little snippets into this time where Doctor Strange fought this like thousands of years war, and nobody knows about it because God, and I'm totally blanking on their name right now. The people that give Strange his power.
I'm
Oh,
not
the
a strange
Vishanti.
guy.
The
Okay,
Vishanti.
yeah.
So like the Vishanti like made him forget it all. But like he and what they ended up doing is they bottled like basically like the essence of like that version of Strange and they locked him away. And but he has and he's like he went from like being like just your Doctor Strange and he knows magic to like being like the most fearsome general war dog in the history of like the magical realms. And he was so powerful and everybody was so scared of him that Vishanti had to lock him away and like trap him and made Steven forget like all of those memories. So like where I'm going with this is basically like just this like secret war that's
Mm,
happening on the inside of it. It very much reminded me of that, especially when we see Wally, who has like this new black suit on and he's like, like acting general and making all these plays and like making the calls
yeah, I
to
like that
come
a
off
lot.
like oh like because that happened like just like a year and a half ago, I think that storyline did. So like
Okay.
it's reminding me of that, and I think that's where I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. But then it's like I still have to remember that he, Eclipso ate his dog and dumb shit like that. And I'm
Yeah,
like, it kind of kills it for me.
yeah. And Pilgrim just has a different suit too. Like we're not gonna talk about it. Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
like
or like, and at what point did he start like recruiting these villains and giving them powers? Like we didn't get any of that.
yeah, and it's kind of like weird because I'm
Like
like, so
Girder,
there,
like
yeah, I'm like, I'm missing it. I'm like, I don't, it just feels really odd to me. And I don't know if like those are the villains or if they're,
it almost feels like a really, really bad like mashup of Clone Wars and Ender's Game.
dude, I will say I did kind of think it was cool that like like all the clones were kind of just suicide bombers in a way. Like they were just going in, like
All
they're
right, let's
blowing
go.
up.
My turn, my turn. Yeah.
Yeah, like it was pretty neat like that. I was like, okay. And if you think about the issue prior,
I don't
it's
know if this
because
is a color. I don't know if this is a coloring mistake.
oh yeah, I thought the same thing. I don't know if it is a coloring mistake or if it's like there's this other, you
Yeah,
know,
because I saw it, I was like, "What is that?" I'm like, what are those? Show me
and
those guys again.
it kind of seemed like it was like, okay, you'll see this eventually, you know.
But we never will.
I don't know.
We'll
I'm willing to
never
bet it
see
was a
it
coloring mistake, but I don't know.
because they were just
Well,
like regular Flash suits.
yeah,
Right.
I don't know. I like this suit, but I'm just kind of ready to
I
go back
don't,
to the
man.
other one.
I'm just like, despite what I said when you sent me the cover yesterday, that probably might be the best that suit's ever looked. I still don't like this suit, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's
I
grown. I hate it less than I used to. Like this, it doesn't look bad here, but I just like make it all black. I don't need these little red bits in the middle. I don't.
What about this yellow bit under the
The
eyes? Like
yellow the
what?
yellow bit is garbage.
It
Like
just
it's
feels
it,
like the continuity of it is just all over the place. I,
yeah, because it's not even in that cover, and I almost guarantee you it's not in probably one of the other covers. It's probably barely in that one. It looks like lightning, and it's not in that one. That's not a bad cover.
I like that, and I like the artist on this. He's grown on me a lot.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Um, One thing. Okay, let's talk about the. Oh, who's that? Same artist as the other one?
Yeah.
Paratoria. That's a good cover. That is a pretty good one. Um, this clone that's kind of like scared.
Yeah.
Do we think that's gonna come in to be anything, or is that just gonna be like a subplot throughout this arc, and he makes a sacrifice play to save everybody?
Oh, there's the one that was like throwing up and stuff.
Yeah, the one that's like I don't want to do this. You know what I mean? Like the one that like zips off instead of like
Yeah.
reloading.
Um,
Do you think that maybe he's like okay, I guess two questions. Does he? make the sacrifice play at the end of the arc and kind of save everybody so it's like kind of neatly folded away and we don't have to worry about it? Or is he a loose thread that goes off on his own and he's a problem later on? And we have like a bad
I
Wally, or like a confused, scared Wally running around.
not to like kind of fall into like the same kind of scenario that was the Flash season 3. It would be kind of cool if one of these copies like kind of like stuck around and was like, oh, like I lived this life, like, but I don't get it. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, like, okay, yes, exactly. Because, and this is kind of what we talked about. It was like 13, where he like saw ahead and he saw like the Flash, like, and like him like having two of them. I don't think it's a bad idea. Because I think then they make a point to say like, oh well, why you don't think it's dangerous to have the family coming here and visiting? They're like, no, because it gives every single clone a reminder of what they're fighting for.
I
And
like
if
how
this
they called
dude
them shards. That was pretty cool,
Yeah. If this dude just fought for something that he cannot have, he's
right?
going to be mad. Like, and
Right.
to him, it's his family. To him, it's his wife. To him, it's his kids. So, like, how are you going to tell him that it's not? And you're going to tell this dude that he's just like a cheap imitation of the original when they're given
I
all of the memories and they're giving all of the motivation, and and they're basically just, okay, I have to just die, and he doesn't want to now. So.
I just feel like I also like don't even when they did it in the show, I didn't really get the whole what they call in the show. Um,
Speed Mirage.
speed like remnants or whatever.
Yeah, the
Like
Remnant. Yeah, that's right.
it's like you're pulling a flash from like an adjacent timeline, and it's just weird to me. Like I don't understand. It's such a weird power. I don't really like it. I feel like it kind of
Well,
com
I just think I think I and I part of the I think and I agree with you. I don't think it's always used well. I think it's a cool idea, but I don't think it's ever consistently defined. I think it's always like you said, like the show will be like it's from a different timeline, so it's fine. But then they'll turn around and use it 2 seasons later and say, "Well, I just pulled this version of me from 5 minutes ago." It's like, okay, is it 5 minutes ago from this timeline, or do you just pull him from an alternate timeline at this point in time? So he's kind of around. Or did you jump to another universe and did you take him from there? Like it's never clearly defined anywhere, like anywhere. So it just
yeah, it's
becomes one of
just
those like, well, it's just a vague power set that I have, and
I
I
just don't like stuff like that because it's just like you're overcomplicating it. Like
well, right, you're overcomplicating it for no reason, but then you're also allowing yourself a MacGuffin out of almost any possible situation if you're not defining those powers sometimes. Like Doctor Strange ends up being that guy a lot because he's just magic. And when you're
yeah,
magic, you can fix a lot of shit that isn't.
yeah.
Like you can make a lot of problems go away or create a lot of problems that weren't there with magic. So it's like
It's just like it's
not okay.
I
Since we're already on the rant here, I'm gonna I was having this conversation the other day, because and it was in the shop and somebody was like, well, how can you apply like real world like thinking into universes like the Marvel or DC universe? I mean, yes, like on a surface level, I agree. It's fake. Everything is technically possible,
yeah, of course.
but when you have characters that can only play by basically real world rules with very few exceptions, like like yes, Green Arrow does live in a world where there's magic and Superman and all of these high sci-fi magical, in concepts and characters that are invincible and can stop bullets with their chest, like it, but he can't. So like the pocket of the universe that he exists in, like he has to abide by like almost real world physics and the rules that apply there, even though some of the people in his playground don't. That
Yeah,
being said, you have some of those things that tend to bleed down into the real world parts of these universes, like characters being reborn or them getting some kind of magical power up. But like for the most part, any human character has to abide by those rules. So it's comics are weird, bro.
I know.
Because
It's so weird,
you
yeah.
can use magic and all of these like really weird sci-fi concepts to get out of a lot or to cause a lot, but then you do it in certain ways where people are just pissed off because it doesn't make sense for that character or the part of the world that they inhabit. And fucking comic books, dude.
I just feel like Spurrier is just trying to like all these just crazy concepts, all this stuff. Like, I feel like they were getting some momentum with the whole Jai storyline, like what was going on
Yes.
with him. And I feel like this kind of like
Nips it in the bud a
stopped
little bit.
that. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, and like, I'm also like a little confused because like, the rest of the Flash family have not been involved for a good chunk of this, especially this
Yeah.
past arc.
Yeah, and then
And
Judy
then they're
just showed
there.
there.
Then they're just there on the moon and they're part of the plan. And I just feel like if you did this for a little bit at the start of the issue, you justify it. But
Well, like,
you could have literally flashed back and then be like, okay, this is the plan. Like, how did we get here?
and you know what's crazy is like, and I feel like we've talked about this a few times, like just with this run in particular, is there are moments, I mean, hell, there are even probably almost whole issues where it feels like it's an over exposition, just like an info dump of a bunch of shit that doesn't really matter because we've seen it all already. This is an instance where you don't show me, you don't tell me, you just drop me in and you say here's nothing, here's where we're at. Like
Yeah.
if like I almost like you even gave me a war briefing scene and you didn't take the time to info dump me on, oh, now Eclipso has recruited Captain Cold and Girder and who was the other guy that he had with him?
Um, it wasn't Captain Cold. It was something else.
It was like a captain, oh, something zero.
Captain Zero. It was something
But
really
it was
weird.
like
I
it
was
was
like,
probably like a probably a version of Captain Cold or whatever. You know what I mean? But like so because the dialogue even says that, oh, he just gave them powers. He empowered some of our villains. And then you see Judy and then you see Avery and Wallace and they're all like decked out in this new like military attire and it's like you could have given me a couple of pages like, this is where we're at. We've been at war for several, for us it's been years, for everybody else it's been months, and this is the front line, and these are the people. Like now is your info dump, dude. Like now is when you show me that, and you just didn't even do it, and so now we're just like, what happened?
there were some cool concepts in here, but then
Yeah.
oh, they're fighting Eclipso. I'm like, oh. And I feel like with what they were doing with the rogues, it didn't feel like the rogues. It kind of just felt like I don't know. It kind of took me out of it. I was like, oh, if you're gonna do
Okay,
it, do
does it?
it.
Okay, I and maybe it's just me, but probably not because I really like the Rogues, and it really
Oh, I love the
sucks
rogues.
to see that they're like being delegated as like the henchmen or the goons for this entire run. Like the whole
Yeah, they
first
did that at the
13
beginning.
issues, we're just manipulating them. We're the archangels. We're giving them powers. We're doing freaky stuff in the background to them, and then nothing. And then this more rogues, but they're literally just cannon fodder for the cannon fodder flashes. So it's like I don't know, man. I just and maybe it's just the old school Flash fan in me, but just make it simple, dude.
I
Put it
know.
in Central City, let him fight the rogues, throw in a reverse Flash story or two, you know, make it personal. It doesn't have to be this big, grandiose Star Wars level sci-fi war story. It can just be about personal drama and, this him doing shit fast.
I can appreciate like the attempt with a lot of this stuff because the Speed Force has always been vague,
Yeah.
and I can appreciate like his attempt to be like, okay, let's define some of these concepts, but you gotta have it. You gotta like. keep it a little simpler. Like when you have
Right.
that, when you have like the family stuff, and then when Jai's like figuring out his own powers, and you're kind of like, is it connected? What's this? And then you have like future version of the newborn son. It's like there's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff, so it's like a lot to keep together.
I just don't like how some of the explanations for the Speed Force and the way that it operates has just been another question, or like
Yeah,
several more in its place. It's like, oh, this is what Jai's power is in relation to the Speed Force and how it's channeled through him. But here's all the things that he can do, and we don't even know what they are. So it's like, yes, yes, you told me what his powers are, but now he's got so many new powers that I don't even know what they are. You
yeah,
can you can see buildings phased in reality, but you can also shoot off little tiny meat babies. But then you can also do this and teleport, and like just tell me you're just tell me you're Franklin Richards,
right.
maybe. Like if that's what we're going for, like tell me you're Franklin Richards, that's fine.
It's funny, like we've gotten so far away from like a simple story like in Keystone or Central City that
Yeah.
like I feel like when we do get back to some of that stuff, it's gonna
Oh,
be like
dude.
jarring kind of.
I can't wait, dude. It's gonna be
It's gonna be
jarring in the best
jarring.
way.
It's gonna be
In
like
the best way. I'm gonna cry.
because
If
it
okay,
gets
listen.
it gets to the point where like we're so far away from that stuff that I feel like
I
I'm
miss it,
kind
dude.
of I don't even know like where some of these characters even are.
And
That's like
that's
the
what I'm
crazy thing.
saying. And that's like my whole problem with this book is like I know where they're at, but where are they at?
Yeah.
Like that's why I like the Flash. I like the Flash because he runs fast and he's cool, but I also like the Flash because like seeing where the whole family is at. I like seeing what they're doing. I like them interacting. And hell, maybe I just want 20, how many pages? 32 pages of the Flash running around, not really having to do shit that he normally wouldn't do. Maybe I just want him to do normal shit for once.
Yeah.
Man, I'm just
Yeah. You know what it is?
I'm
Y-
cranky and old, dude.
y-
Just get off my lawn and just let me read my old Flash issues, please.
Well, what it kind of just tells me is like, because he's spending all this time on this stuff, whoever takes over next, as long as they're like a fan of the character and the history,
Yeah.
and if they can tap into any of that stuff, they're kind of in a good spot because like the pieces are all kind of just waiting for whoever wants them, you know?
Right. I mean, like I guess in that regard is you almost couldn't follow up on a better like son. At least in
Yeah.
my opinion. Like if you're an incoming Flash writer and you're coming off the back of Spurrier's run and like between you and me and JD and some other Flash fans, like the general consensus seems to be we like this stuff, but it's too complicated. You're not answering a whole lot. You're just giving us more questions on the back end. When in reality, we really just want to see personal interaction. We want to see the family like do things together. We want to see the characters that we know, the villains that we know in new but similar situations.
Yeah.
So if you can if as an incoming writer, if this is all the noise around the Flash, you'd be dumb not to just jump in on that and do that. Like, you know what I mean?
But like what I'm saying is like I feel like because of all this stuff, like
Yeah.
it gives a writer the opportunity to be like, oh, this has been going on in the background. It's like, oh, well, how did I miss this? Be like, oh, because you were in the moon doing
Yeah.
whatever, you know?
Yeah. Like I mean
Yeah,
I mean you could probably think of a dozen ideas of things that could be happening on Earth while they're off dicking around on the moon that the Flash might need to be there for.
right.
Any one of us could. It's just like it's just up to the right writer to come along after this and say, let's just make it simple and let's do these things
Yeah.
Do like this. They just have to have the want to do it, I guess.
Uh, yeah. I don't
What are
know
some of
who
the
it
comments
would be.
saying on this?
It's pretty positive, man. It's positive, but look up the phrase biting off more than you can chew in the dictionary and this will come up. I feel like we skipped like 4 issues of a concept that could have been the best Flash story in ages.
I'm
The
not, and see,
first
here's the thing is,
13 is one of the best Flash stories ever. What happened? I'm lost. I went to the last issue and I don't know how we got a massive Flash war featuring all the Flashes and the Rogues and Eclipso. Still fun though. Three and a
like,
half stars.
and here's the thing is like the stuff that I like is I kind of like this Flash War stuff because it's showing like it is showing Wally at his peak. Because at what other point in Flash's history has he been able to make 700 copies of himself, maintain them, and basically stave off basically the end of the planet? Is kind of what it seems like,
Yeah.
because whatever Calypso's end game is here is not going to be good for Earth.
Yeah,
So like and like that, I think that's cool. Like if
yeah.
you like, not that I'm a big person on like power feats or like like versus battles or whatever between characters. But if you want, like, hey man, you can write it, you can put it on the list and say, hey, can your guy make 700 copies of himself and can they all still go fast? Like, no. Imagine getting hit by 700 infinite mass punches. How about that?
Yeah.
Kiss my ass, Superman. I know, but
Um,
like that stuff is cool to me. But it's also like if the story around it is not, it kind of loses its pizzazz, I guess.
are you reading Batman right now? I'm just curious. You're
Nope.
not. You're
No
not.
way,
You're not
dude.
done this gimmick,
Listen to me, and I almost was, but then I walked into my shop the week the first issue came out of Hush 2, and I saw for like $15 the giant size issue that
oh
they're
yeah,
doing for every single issue of Hush 2. And I thought to myself, they don't need my fucking money. They don't need my money. Somebody out here is going to buy this $15 giant size modern comic book with regular comic paper in it, and that'll make up my 4.99. I'm not buying it. I refuse.
dude. It's like one of the first times, like in a long time, where the most pulled comic. It says mixed now, but I saw mostly negative when I was like, "What?"
Good.
I was like, "What could it
Good.
be?"
Good.
I I,
This
I
this
won't
needs to
I won't
crash
get
and burn, dude.
I won't get too in depth with it
If you
as
want
much
to
as I
talk
would like to.
spoilers a little bit, if you like, go for it, dude. Ryan kept me filled in on the first issue of it.
Dude, they're treating like this should have never been in the main Batman book because it ignores a lot of continuity. It ignores like it
Oh, so you mean like Batman regularly does? Sorry.
yeah, well,
Sorry.
to a degree, but this dude like all right, so Hush is, setting up Batman and then
Yeah.
Batman he
Because I know the situation where he like basically like puts him in a spot where he's like, I kill the Joker. I'm
well
gonna kill
he
him.
he saves the Joker.
That's
Like
right. Yeah,
he
he like saves him.
he brings the Joker to Leslie Tompkins, and she's even like, "What are you doing? Like, I don't have the stuff for this." He's like, "You need to help me," and she's like, "Oh, he needs to go to the hospital. Like, that's
He's
where
like, I
they
can
can."
take him in.
And so he takes him back to the Batcave, and he's there. He's like looking at the Joker. He's kind of deep in thought, and
Yeah, thinking, why the hell did I do this?
like, there's a gun on the back of Batman's head, and he just reacts, knocks the gun. He
The
grabs the gun.
Jason.
Yeah, but he grabs the gun,
Shut up.
and he like instinctively just shoots and it hits Jason's like mask. It's just an excuse for Jim Lee to draw a cracked Red Hood helmet.
Well, okay.
But I was so just kind of like And I
But
know like
Batman, okay,
Batman,
okay, hold on a second. Let's just hold on a second here. He shoots the gun?
he shoots the gun. Yeah. I
What the?
was just
Okay.
so
But here's the thing. And like, is there even like a hint of dialogue where Batman's like, I knew it was you and I knew that you don't carry lethal bullets? Like, see, like any bullshit to put in there that, like, okay, maybe to justify why he shot a gun. Why are you shooting a gun, bro? Like, oh,
honestly,
God.
if it was me, because like I get like he's kind of like deep in thought and he's distracted and he just kind of reacts.
Yeah.
I personally would have preferred if he just chucked the gun at Jason, like just straight up
Yes.
threw it.
Like, well, like, and here's the thing is like that kind of stuff. It's so simple, dude. It's so simple, and it's so like, but it's like th it's those little things that make up like the character. Because why
Yeah.
is he shooting a gun?
Yeah.
And you're in the Batcave. Like, who else is gonna come into the back? Okay, first off, Joker. We're supposed to assume that nobody knows where the Batcave is, right? For kind of for the most part. You brought the Joker to the Batcave. Who the fuck else is following you except people that know you're in the Batcave?
Yeah.
Oh man.
But like it also is just kind of weird because it's like, like, we had Batman, like he didn't have Wayne Manor anymore.
Yeah.
He was living in a brownstone in the
That's
middle of the
right, true,
city.
yeah.
And then in Zdarsky, he got a new mansion that
And a
was
new
like
cave,
the
right?
Pennyworth Manor. And I'm like, is
Yeah.
that this or are we just gonna ignore that? And also, like Jason, I feel like has grown. Like they've kind of
Aged
moved
a bit.
past this Joker stuff. They've moved past it. And also,
I mean,
he
have they though?
but he says in it, he's like, I know that Clayface impersonated me. He was in on it. He was working with Clayface and Hush, like during that. Like that part in Batman Hush when you see Jason and he's got
Yeah.
Tim, that is Jason. And then he runs and Clayface takes his place.
Yeah.
That was a retcon. They just ignore that. So he's like, "Oh, I know about Clayface." Like, of course you know because you were there. You were there. Like, it's so dumb. Like
Do you
it's
ever think
dumb.
some of these dudes just like forget what they wrote or drew and they're just like, fuck it. It was
I
so popular that they begged us to come back and let's do it again.
oh, well, I know some of that stuff. Like, it was written by like Chud Winnick and like Paul Dini, like Heart of Hush, like those Hush sequels, which are
Oh,
phenomenal.
okay. That's yeah. Well, I mean,
But
look
it
who was
just
on it though.
yeah. But I just
Like
feel
Dini and
like.
Winnick are good, dude.
But I just feel like I hate how this is just treated as like a straight up Hush sequel, like as if nothing happened in between. Like if like they're treating this like Hush hasn't been in another book. Like
Yeah.
they haven't already done Hush sequels. Like it's kind of like I think that this should have been like a Three Jokers kind of thing. And I think they could have
Yes.
sold it on that. Like they
Yes.
didn't need it to be in the book. Like I think they just desperately just wanted to boost Batman like sales up.
Well, they of course, dude, of course, because you've got both Spider-Man books outselling it. You've got Absolute Batman outselling Batman. You've got like so many titles right now that are beating out Batman. Why wouldn't you? And are they still double shipping it, or is it one book a month?
One a month.
Okay, I'll say if
Yeah.
they're doing the Amazing Spider-Man move where they're still double shipping, and it's barely selling more than any other book because of that, then sure. But like, yeah, they definitely it worked. It's selling out, bro. Like it worked.
The art is
It,
so
it,
good though. I love dude, I just love Jim Lee on art.
do
Like I was excited, but I kind of was like, "Oh, I feel like we've kind of moved beyond it." Like I feel like it's Jorge Jimenez's time.
you think it's now if this was Jorge Jimenez doing it, I might read it. I could be in on it. But like, I don't know, man. For one, I think Jim Lee's art is just hot take. It's stale now. Like
Well, it's not
it's
the
it,
same.
it doesn't look as good as it used to. But okay, listen, conspiracy theory time. Maybe Sinclair and Williams finish a lot of his stuff for him. I don't know. He's a busy guy these days.
Nice
But
read on that.
it doesn't look as Jim Lee as it used to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, when you look at like the Scott Sinclair stuff, you're kind of like, hey,
Yeah. I mean, they look a lot alike. That's what I'm saying. Like they've been those three have been
or
working together. Scott Williams
Scott,
and
Scott Williams. I said
Williams and
Scott Sinclair.
Sinclair. Well, like when those three have been working together for so long, you know, they probably are just like hand in hand in hand with a lot of each other's work. Um, yeah, dude,
That was my Batman rant.
okay, I have an idea.
What's up?
I might there is a kind of a hush, kind of, but not really Thomas Elliot around. I mean, you have Shush, but that's not who I mean. Um, what the hell? I can't remember their name, but ever since death metal, I've been begging anybody at DC, like a single soul that will listen, to use any of those fucking characters from uh Tales from the Dark Multiverse.
Yeah.
Like there is a literal like Bruce Wayne that takes that kind of becomes that universe's like he's like a hush Batman. And it's a pretty cool design.
Oh, dude, you know, I just realized.
You could fold that dude into the main universe since you're already doing a bunch of crazy multiversal shit anyway. You have been for years. Why not cap it off with a Hatoosh with the alternate evil Batman?
Are you gonna get this hardcover?
Absolutely not.
I think they're doing a Hush 3 too.
Shut the hell up,
I'm
dude.
pretty sure I heard something about a Hush 3.
Oh man.
Because dude, this is six
I'll
issues.
I'll tell you
And
what,
I
whatever convention I go to, whatever conventions I go to this year, I'm gonna walk up to Jim Lee and be like, if there's a Hush 3, man, I'm over it.
I mean I'm gonna buy it, so I'll be there. Dude, I can't just not read Batman.
I know.
I just can't. Like it I'm so like just take my money, you know? But
I think at this point, since I've suffered through Flash with like this run, and I suffered through the rest of Donny Cates' Thor, I'll never drop either book at this point, I don't think.
well,
Like
only ways up.
I'm long past the I think I might drop Flash. I'm just five
Oh, you're
dollars
it.
every month, I guess. Here you go.
Oh, you're
Happy or
in it, man.
sad.
You're
Happy
in
or
it.
sad. Here's $5.
Dude, this score just dropped as we're recording. It was a 3.1, now it's a 3.
Yeah, they heard me and they're like, oh, oh.
This cover is pretty cool though.
That
I like
cover is
that.
pretty cool. I wish he would actually hush. Is there a gold foil? Please tell me that's a gold foil. Go back.
That's a foil. You're gonna have to get it, man. Get that foil. Frank Quietly variant. Oh. So Jeremy's his computer died, so we're wrapping it up. But yep, that was my Batman rant.